Well, good morning. We'll be going live in just a few moments, just as soon as my tea finishes boiling, because we all know it's completely impossible to program without tea. So that's a very important thing we need today. So just waiting a few moments for that. Hope you're all doing okay out there with what's going on at the moment, or all the coronavirus fun. I hope you're safe at home and your countries aren't suffering too much from all the chaos. So take care of yourselves out there, everyone, and hope doing a little bit of programming maybe distracts you all a little bit from all of the problems. Anyway, today we will be doing some MSX1 programming. I know the title of this stream said it was going to be MSX2, but there's two reasons for that. Firstly, I'm a filthy liar, and secondly, one of the viewers is very interested in MSX1, so I thought it'd be a good opportunity to sort of bring that forward and get that in there so that that viewer can sort of get an idea of what the hardware of that system is and what's required to make the programming work on that system. So that's the reason for the change. If we manage the MSX1 super fast, we will move on to the MSX2. But I didn't think it was too weird. Good morning, Mark. No, it's not Earl Grey. I only have green tea. So I'll be back in just a moment when I Okay, so now we have that all important equipment stocked up. Let's start the stream. Where we go to? Just here. Okay. So today we're going to. I'm drinking it because it's 5 a.m. and I'm tired, Lucas. I need the caffeine. So we're going to be converting the Sega Master System version of Yquest we did last time. Not last time, sorry. We did Sam Coupe last time. I did this off camera. So we're going to be converting this, and we're going to create an MSX1 version. So now the reason I'm using the Master System version is the Master System is also a tile-based system, and we're using one tile for each of our sprites. So because the MSX1 is the same screen size as the Master System and is the same tile system, the logic code should work exactly the same. Now the problem is, of course, we will need to define the screen size to be that rather than that. That will be important. But then we'll need to replace the header, the initialization, the tile definitions, and also the joystick reading routines. We've got to change that out as well. Mostly the rest could probably be pretty similar. I'm not sure. So that's the kind of way these streams are. I've not done it, so I have a theory, I have a plan, but whether the plan works is it might not work at all. So we just have to deal with these things. Okay, so another thing I need to get, where is it? Tools, Yquest Editor. I need to get Yquest Editor. Okay, and if I go File, Load, just load, I guess. And we need the Yquest sprites here. These are full color. Now I'm going to be exporting in just well, I guess just one color for starters. Where's that? MSX1 color. No, let's do that. There we go. Hang on a minute. That was stupid. Oh, they all there. Okay, looks like we have. Oh, the colours seem to be missing. That's a pain. Okay, we might have to worry about that at a later date. Oh, there they are. Colouring those buggers. Okay, so we're going to need those at some point as well. So it's these streams are a bit of a adventure. We don't know quite what's going to happen. So here's our code here. Now, coincidentally, sorry, just a moment. So I just had a cough there. Okay, coincidentally, our memory's at the same position, C000 area. So we can actually keep that user RAM definition there. We don't have a Game Gear size screen on an MSX1, so we'll just delete that. This is for the assembler compatibility, and that's for the zzZ80, the Game Boy. We use some simulated commands in some of the subroutines for the Game Boy, and here's our header. So we're going to want that. We're going to want all of this all the way down to here. Okay, take this, and I'm just going to replace all of this. Now the MSX1 and the Master System actually have some compatibility. The let me get this right, the Master System graphics chip is backwards compatible with the MSX1s, I believe. I've never tried it, but I believe it could be ported. Hello there, Evil Sandwich. It's kind of you to join me today. Just starting up this conversion here. Okay, so there we go. So here we've got the code that's going to turn on our screen. We need the initialization data for that, which is somewhere. There it is. There's the initialization data. So here we've got the setting, and here we've got the register number plus 128. So these are defining the screen layout and things. Let's grab that, and let's put it over the top of the Master System one. Where is it? Here it is. So again, so the two are similar. So you do see. Hello there, Quasar. Kind of you to join me. We're IM1 is interrupt mode 1, Lucas. That's the default for the Z80, but for just safety, we're setting it anyway. Interrupt mode 2 is the only option on a system that has a ROM between 0 and 4000, but interrupt mode 1 is easier to use. Now the only thing is, it doesn't matter what interrupt mode you've got set. If you've got your if you've got your interrupts disabled, it doesn't make any difference. But if you're doing music and things, you're probably gonna need some kind of interrupts to make your sound play continuously and consistently, so the music doesn't speed up and slow down. But that's if you can avoid it, disable interrupts at all time if you're making a simple game, because it'll just make things a little bit easier for you. But obviously in a lot of cases it's not going to be possible. But anyway. Okay, so we want some kind of palette. Where's our code? Here's our sprites, here's our palette. I've got a legal relocation. Okay, so yeah, okay. I apologise that the error console's off the screen down here, but the screen's a little bit small for me at the best of times, so I'm keeping it off screen just so I can get as much text on the screen as I can. So here we've got bitmap data and bitmap data end. So here we've got the source for the bitmap sprites in HL. We've got the length in B. That's not going to work. That's going to be too big. Where's my OTI? We need my OTIR command for that, I think. Where's my OTIR? Oh, no, it's not. What's it called? I forget. It's not OTIR. What was that command I wrote before that did big outs? Did I use it before? Hang on a minute. Let's have a look at the Master System one. Oh, maybe we just use. I can't remember. We just used that before. Okay. So So here we're transferring the data. There's two parts of the data in this case, annoyingly. There's the palettes and there's the bitmaps now. Yeah, we've got to deal with all of this stuff. The OTIR command can only do up to 255 bytes, you see, so that's not going to work. So we're using define tiles instead, which is going to send the pattern information to the graphics hardware. So we're sending the screen initialization, we're sending the bitmaps, the tiles, the patterns, and then we're sending the colors for the tiles here. Now we could set all of the colors for the tiles to undefined VDP control. Let's have a look what's going on there. Got a bit of inconsistency here in my code. Where is that? No, I'm getting other errors. Okay, hang on a minute. Let's decide what to do for the best here. You've learned more about here. Yeah, I'm sure you have. Okay, where are we? So I'm just, as I say, the MSX and the Master System do have some similarities, but there's a few, even the places that could be the same, there's some slight inconsistencies in my code. I'm getting mixed up here. Okay, so copy that, paste that. Illegal relocation. Yeah, okay. Data end. Okay, so we got it's booting up. So it's booted up and then it's immediately crashed. Well, there we go. Okay. Booted up and immediately crashed. So let's have a look. Okay. Just testing my, gotta make sure my emulator, right, so that worked okay. So this didn't work okay for some reason. I'm not sure what that reason's gonna be. Now, I don't know what the problem is there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put a halt in. So if I put a DI and a halt in, that will stop the processor. So what I'll do is I'll move this around and see what each part of the code is doing and see if it's working as I expected. Okay, so we've got a halt there. Now, why hasn't the screen cleared? I thought the screen would have cleared. Okay, so, Okay, I think I got confused here with. I got confused with my code here. I think, unfortunately. think I've copied some of the SMS code instead of the MSX code. Okay, well, we can fix all of this. Okay. Oh dear. So much fun programming at 5 AM, he said sarcastically. Right, so we've got to get that there. VDP control. That's going to be a prepare VRAM. Okay, let's put this here. And we need define tiles. No, we haven't got it. Okay, that's a shame. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's a pain. Okay, I don't know what to do about that. We'll figure it out. Because I can't use OTIR, because OTIR can only do 255 bytes. Hello there, BG Ollie. It's very kind of you to join me today. I hope you're doing well over there. We're trying to convert the Master System version of my Yquest onto the MSX1 at the moment. Not going massively well because it's 5 AM and I have no idea what I'm doing, but we are. We're doing our best though, so we'll create a function called do OTIR. Okay. So is it outside? It's outside, yeah. So that's going to transfer our data to the VP. You'll notice I'm pushing and popping BC here because I want to be able to use a 16-bit counter. And then all we need to do is we need to make sure that C is we just got to make sure that C points to the destination for the out command, so the VDP control, so that we can send our data, and the data is coming from HL driving me nuts. More errors. Prepare VRAM. Well, I don't think we need that now. VDP data. Yeah, okay. Where's I'm loading the wrong flipping one again. It's too confusing. where's our code to draw the sprite here? Out C, where's C defined? Where's C defined? By get VDP screen pos, obviously. Oh, by set write address. We want rid of that. Only 1 byte per tile on the MSX1. Okay. Is it possible to use the HL register to show 2 times 2 tiles? If it did, coding would be easier. It all depends on what you use the registers for, Lucas. You've got to write code to do all of this yourself. So if you want a routine that uses the HL register to show 2 times 2 tiles, you've just got to work out how to do it. There's no reason you can't do that. It's like I'm writing in out command, an out IR equivalent that uses B and C as a byte counter. There's no command to do it for you automatically. You have to write it yourself from the component tools you've got. So yeah, you can do that. You've just got to figure out how to do it. Sorry, what was I doing? I'm getting distracted. Okay, where's my sprites? Okay, bitmap data. That's where it is. We'll get there in the end. There you go. Yeah, evil sandwich is correct. I mean, the only exception is like a command like OTIR will always use the same registers, but as I say, you can work around those limitations if you want. You push and pops back up and restore registers as you need. Okay, so there we go. So that's not good. The screen's going yellow. It shouldn't be going yellow. So let's see what I've done wrong. Push pop BC. Okay, well, actually, it's probably just my sprites are too big. Okay, so I need to figure out what I'm going to do with these sprites. Then I need to try and get something resembling usable sprites. What's going on? Why can't I? Why is my next bank and last bank buttons broken? I don't understand that. Oh, okay. Hang on a minute. Let's exit Aqua Sprite for a second. I think there must be a bug. I accidentally selected 4 million color mode earlier. Maybe there's a bug in the code that handles that. Maybe that's why it's not working. Load sprites. buttons aren't working. I don't understand why. Well, that's going to make this rather difficult, isn't it? Well, we can work around it for now. We'll just use one sprite. Okay, let's load in our font first, and let's go to settings and spectrum. And then if we go to zz80 MSX file, save raw MSX1 bitmap, and if we call this font ZXS, I'm calling it ZXS because it's basically the same format as the Spectrum all want. Now Lucas, that's the way the Z80 works. It's just the way the things are. But you need to understand how 8-bit and 16-bit registers work and how the commands use them, because it's very fundamental to the system. So you know, that's the way it is. I'm just noticing, I think I'm going to need to do a color swap here. Oh, maybe it's alright. No, maybe it's alright. Okay, so that's my font, and then we need to do, I don't know why two of the buttons are broken. Yeah, Quasar's trying, I'm sorry, Lucas is trying to write a Z80 game, Quasar, so so he'll need to understand this and understand how the registers work. So yeah, okay, load Yquest. My bank buttons aren't working, and I don't understand why. It should be going up here. Color swap, no, ZX Paint colors, bright. There we go. Fill those lighters in, and then if we go to Z80 MSX file, save. Have you watched my videos on the Z80, learning the Z80, Lucas? Because I think sort of did some demonstrations of the different registers and how they worked. I'm not saying I did a good job of it. I did my best at the time. It's an old video now. It's a couple of years old, but maybe it helped a little bit. Yeah, evil sandwich is right. I mean, that was the problem you were having before as well with the source code and the byte data. If you mix the two together, the CPU can't tell because the source code gets converted to byte data. It's just, yeah, okay. Fair enough, Lucas. As I say, I just wasn't sure. It'll help if you load the Amstrad CPC emulator and you type in some code and then you step through it line by line, like I did in those videos. You'll see how the registers in the debug window actually change over time. Yeah. Okay, sorry about this. I'm just not programming very well this morning. The screen's going funny colours, which suggests I'm sending it too much data. $128 bytes, that sounds right. And here's my font. 768 bytes, that is right. Okay. So, bitmap data end, do OTIR. Am I using the wrong register? That's the wrong register, I'm sure of it. I'm sure that's the wrong register. Yeah, I'm using the wrong register. That's why I'm sending what should be the pattern data to the control register. So that's Lucas. You got more problems to worry about fonts if you're still struggling with how the registers work, mate. I'm sorry, you're just getting distracted here. You got to focus on the basics: music, fonts, all that kind of thing. The first thing is the core game code. It doesn't matter how bad the game looks, as long as it works as a game. So just don't worry about fonts at the moment. It's not important. The other thing is, fonts are just fonts are just tiles anyway. It's just not important. It's the same code that does both on mine. My font is actually the bitmap data. So we say you gotta focus on your. Yeah, exactly, Lucas. They're all tiles. Everything's tiles. We're not using, as I say, my code and the code I gave to you. We're not using hardware sprites. The hardware sprites are great. Don't get me wrong. It's just more complexity. And if we're just starting out, just trying to get something working quickly and easily, we want to keep as simple and as low level as we can, and just do the bare minimum to get the. That's weird. To get the job done. So yeah, as I say, just keep things as Evil Sandwich is dead on. I mean, the other thing, Lucas, you got to remember is that loads of people try and write games, and some of them try really amazing games, and they've got really good skills and what have you. But most people aim too high, and their motivation gives up, or they take on something too hard that they don't have. They don't initially have the skill for, and they don't have the time to learn, and so they end up giving up and they achieve nothing. It's far better to aim very, very low and achieve something than to aim very, very high and and achieve nothing. So as I say, you start with a simple target and actually achieve that, and then you can add the extra things like your fonts and your sound and whatever else you want to do. The important thing is you get something that just works at all. You know, if all you make is Pong and it's got no sound and no on-screen text, that's still a finished game, even if it's only a simple one. That's still something to be proud of. So, as I say, don't get distracted by don't by the things it would be nice to have. Just focus on the things that are the minimum to actually have a game. That should be a priority. Okay, so we're doing okay there. So I think our palette's going in okay. Here's our show title routine. Here's our title pick. I'm just going to ignore all that. I don't think that's going to be causing a problem here. I think. Okay, so I don't know what on earth that nonsense is about. Yeah, fair enough. Okay, Lucas, that's fine. Yeah, so you just gotta not get distracted on it. You just gotta keep sticking at it when things get difficult. That's what the challenge is of programming. So, there's going to be lots of times when things do get unfortunately difficult. I'm just trying to think about my own problems here. I can't think about it. Okay. Okay, I can see it. Yeah. So I'm using H for two different purposes here, and so that's messing up my code. So if I do a push of HL here, that'll back up HL, and then if I pop HL down here, that'll restore it. That's why all my tiles are ending up being basically the same thing, because as I say, I'm using H here, but I'm also using H here for my sprite number. So you can't use the same register for two different purposes. There we go. There we go. Look at that. There we got something. We got a mess, but we got something. I will take that at the moment. So. Not quite sure what to make of that. That's a right mess. Okay, well, we'll take a mess at the moment. Let's try disabling this line here and see what happens then. Because yeah, it made no difference. So my do OTIR command is not working. 4 patterns, yes, Lucas. Each tile is a single pattern, which is 8 bytes. You have a potential for 256 patterns in the screen mode we're using. There is an alternate one that's got 768, but that's tricky, so you don't want to use that. So 256. You can push or pop any register onto the stack, except the stack pointer, I think. They're always 16-bit though, so you always push them. If you push the accumulator, it's push AF, push accumulator and flags. So you're always pushing and popping in 16-bit amounts. But that's not a hardware restriction. But that's not a restriction of the addressing. You can read. You can set the stack pointer to an odd or an even point in memory, and it will work fine. It's not like the 68,000 that only works on even boundaries. So, but yes. Yeah, there's unless my brain's leaving me, any register can be pushed or popped on onto the stack. I suppose the shadow registers can't be directly; you have to bank them in. But even those is how you can. Okay, why isn't my code working? I'm doing something very stupid, obviously. What's that code still doing down there? We don't want that. Let's get rid of that. That's just misleading now. Get rid of it. Okay. So why is my out command not working? Yeah, geez. Some of us like it, the old zz80 evil sandwich. I've been looking at the 6809 this week. That's a strange beast. It's a very strange beast. So I'm not quite sure what to make of it. My OTIR command isn't working. What am I doing wrong with it? I'm not sure what I'm doing wrong here. Let's just double check. Let's just double check what outi does. It's been a while. Outi, out C, out HL to C, inks HL, dex B. Okay, well, that's what I expected it to do. zz80, wonderful CPU. I don't disagree, Quasar. It's just everyone has their preference. So, and I can see in a lot of cases why people make an argument for the things like the 6502. You know, it works in a very different way, and I think some people prefer that different way. But I do find the zz80 a good balance between between strengths and weaknesses. But I'm more curious about systems like the 6809 in the sense that that's a chip that really failed. You know, Z80 and 6502 both did great, you know, but the 6809 was a very different chip and it did nothing. And it's like, well, you know, I haven't done enough work with it to work out how fast it is, whether it's extremely slow because of the larger commands, but it does just surprise me that it didn't achieve more success. But it didn't, so there we go. So maybe this set write address isn't working. I don't know. I don't understand what's going wrong here. I'm obviously doing something incredibly dumb, which happens quite a lot, to be honest. The 6809 is I've not done any work with the 6800. I've only read a little bit of documentation on it as a curiosity. I believe the 6809 is source code compatible in the sense you can reassemble a 6800 program for the 6809, but it's not bytecode compatible. They added a ton of stuff. They claim they were trying to mimic the PDP-11, but I don't see the similarity. So that's surprising. I see that there's a lot of added functionality. I just don't see particularly any similarity between. I see less similarity between the 6809 and the PDP-11 than I do in the 68000 and the PDP-11, or even the ARM and the PDP-11, to be honest. So it surprises me, that claim, but I have heard that said that was one of the original things the developer was doing. So it's a surprising thing to me. But yeah, apparently they did. I really don't understand what's going on here. It's quite annoying. My bitmap data is not getting to the VDP, and I don't understand why. I think we're suffering the curse of programming it too early in the morning when you're half tired. It's very frustrating. But I've got my VDP data port here. I'm selecting that. I'm outing the data. My counters. Yeah, I guess that's possible. Evil sandwich. I mean, yeah. I mean, as I say, it seemed like a sensible thing to do to try and mimic the PDP-11, but it just. It doesn't show in the end result, and I'd say that's not a criticism of 6809, because I mean, the 6809's got 2 stacks. Well, nothing has 2 stacks. 680, the PDP-11, yeah, I know it can use any register as a stack, but it doesn't have 2 stacks. And they're not called S and U, and so there's a bunch of weird things that just seem like, well, it's none of them are bad ideas. They just don't mimic the PDP-11 anyway. I'd say just a curiosity. But I'm hoping to do some. I've been working on tutorials. I've got 5 tutorials planned. Hopefully they go better than today's programming anyway. Today's programming is not going well. I don't know why. It doesn't feel like the bitmap data is going to the chip, because that's not right. None of that's right. The font's not even there. What's going on? Oh, is it lawsuits, Evil Sandwich? I hadn't heard that. I'd heard they cut down a lot of the functionality to try and save money. I didn't realise there was legal problems as well. Excuse me. Okay. Okay. I don't know what I'm doing wrong here. I'm obviously doing something very, very stupid, but I just can't see it. I can't see the problem. Is my VDP data port wrong or something? I mean, there's obviously something really stupid I've done, because this command does not seem to be transferring data to the VDP. And I can't think what the problem is, which is quite disappointing. Okay, I didn't know about the 6501. Okay. Okay. Yeah, well, that's what I expected to happen. I was doing that on purpose. I don't get it. I don't get what's wrong. There's obviously some stupid mistake in my code, but I can't figure out what it would be. If anyone's got any ideas what's going wrong here, I'm open to them. The commands here are supposed to be sending the bitmap data to the VDP hardware, but the tiles aren't changing, and I can't use my monitor tools because I haven't got enough code in there, and well, I haven't got a working font anyway. I'm just baffled at the moment, and I'm sure it's something really dumb. I just can't see it at the moment, and I'm struggling to think it through because it's 5 AM and I'm tired. Okay. Okay, well, I mean, I guess... Okay. ASM's just different to what you might be used to. That's all it is. Hey, why have we got a smiley face? Is that in the font? It's a coincidence. Okay, I think, have we got some kind of problem with the VDP date, the screen initialization code we're using? That's then changed. Let's get rid of that palette data. That's not needed. I just don't get what's happening. It's like no. Yeah, I mean, it's just coincidence, Lucas, because my test code drew a smiley face, you see. So for a moment there, I was just thinking, well, is it... That's the smiley face in my test code, you see. So I thought maybe my test code was flowing through. I'm supposed to be sending my own font data through, which should have replaced it, but it's not working, and I can't for the life of me figure out why. Which is quite a bore, unfortunately. So okay, let's let's go down to the basics here. Okay, let's have a look here at the Z drive. Let's have a look at build SMS. Where is it? Build MSX. Sorry, wrong machine. No wonder I'm programming badly. And let's have a look and see if that font data is really there. So this is the listing. Hang on a minute. Which program did I compile last? Okay. Just need to make sure my listing file is up to date. Okay. Okay, so I just not looked at these very often. Okay, so there's the font data there. There's the first banker data. So font. Okay, let's disable that. And let's run this again. Yeah, the way you need to do this, Lucas, is when you have a problem like this, is you often need to work it backwards. You sort of like, well, what is the symptoms I'm seeing? And the symptom I'm seeing is my bitmap data isn't being loaded into VRAM, or at least it doesn't appear to be. And then you need to ask yourself, well, what would cause that? And then you need to start looking at that part of the code to see what the problem could be. You sort of got to think, what am I seeing? What could cause that? Go and look to see if it's there. I can't really scan through all the code, and I say it could be anything. Could be the problem. There's loads of things that could be the problem. So you need to try and you need to sort of try and pick it apart and try and figure it out. But I can't initially think what it would be. And here I'm just there's a lot of things it could be. I mean, it could be one of these is wrong. I mean, it could be like my. So say the thing is, if I disable these, it makes no difference. So that implies to me these functions aren't working. Yeah, I know what you mean, Lucas. It doesn't solve anything. Yeah, I need to know specifically what is wrong, don't I? I know one of my routines isn't working. The question is why? Is the source data blank? Is the source data too short? Am I loading the source data address into the wrong register? Is the loop not working? Am I sending the data too fast to the VDP? There's a lot of things it could be, but yeah, I need to actually identify the problem there. Let's try putting some no ops in here. I can't believe I'm sending the data too fast here, but it's still not working. Okay, let's I don't know what. Okay, let's. I don't know what on earth is wrong here. So let's just. Maybe I'm forgetting. Maybe just try doing this as simply as possible and see if that hasn't made any difference at all. I didn't think it would. Yeah, it'd be nice to have a debug stepper at this point. I'm just trying to think it through. Trying to think what could be the problem. Okay, well, no, there's no point hex editing the file because we've already seen the file isn't blank. And if it was blank, it'd be zeroing all the tiles anyway. Let's have a look at this version. This version works, so whatever's wrong with my code must be right in this one. Okay, well, okay, let's try. This has got to be worth a go. Let's try putting in an out eye here instead of my. Okay, well that didn't make any difference. I mean, I'm assuming the stack's okay. Hang on a minute. Hang on a minute. I'm not disabling interrupts. It could be that. Because if the interrupts are kicking in, they're messing with all my registers. Okay, it wasn't that, I don't think. Okay, I'm really drawing a blank here, really am. Sorry, I'm just absolutely at a loss here. I'm sure I'm doing something really, really stupid. It's just it can take, you know, it can take a couple of hours sometimes until you spot things. The other problem is sometimes you get stuck in a rut. You're always looking at the same thing over and over again, and if you're looking in the wrong place over and over again, you don't spot the problem in the other place, and so sometimes you just have to stop working. You know, go for a walk or whatever, come back, and you'll spot the problem as soon as you get back afterwards. But you can't do that on a live stream. You're just stuck there staring at the problem, tearing your own hair out until you spot it or don't. And in this case, don't. Hang on a minute. Whoa! I've spotted it. I've spotted it. I've spotted the problem. Oh, fucking stupid problem. I've got an offset in here. There shouldn't be an offset. I'm starting from tile 128. I need to start from tile 0. Yeah, okay. Okay. Well, something's happened. It looks a bit weird, but I think that's better. Okay. Okay, we can do this here. So, just need to go over all my code now and check there's no other problems. Set the right address, send the data. Set the right address, send the data. We need some palettes. Just programming, Lucas. It's it doesn't matter what system you use to a great extent. But as I say, if you're struggling, you should use the CPC, because the CPC's got a built-in debugger, so you'll have less trouble debugging. If I had the CPC, you see, I could step through the code line by line and see what was happening to the registers and what was happening to the RAM. Whereas with the MSX, unless I use Open MSX Debugger, which will slow things down and often isn't faster. Often you're better off just thinking it through in your head and working out what the problem must be than using the MSX debugger, unfortunately. So, and that's not to say the MSX debugger is a bad thing. I'm just saying it's not a it's not a magic bullet. It doesn't solve all your problems. Most of the times with Chibi Akumas, there were times when I did have to literally go through code line by line and figure out problems, but often it was just a case of thinking it through and working out the problem from fundamentals, really. The other thing, Lucas, you're going to have to get ready for is you're going to get to a point where the only person who knows how your code works is you, and no one else can help you debug it anymore, because as the code becomes more specialist, you're going to be the only one who actually still understands how it works. So get ready for that, to be honest. There was a sort of time when I was really stuck with Chibi Akumas, and no one was going to be able to help me with it, because they'd have had to spend ages and ages just trying to figure out what it even did. So as I say, you are going to have that as a problem at some point. So you definitely need to be ready for that, because otherwise, it's going to be a shock. So in the early days, other people can help you because the questions you're asking us are very simple. But at some point, that's going to stop being the case. Oh dear. I mean, like now, the code's not working. There's loads of bugs in it, and I'm looking a fool on my live streams. Well, at that point, that's why so few people release games, Lucas. It's because it's hard. It's very hard. It's stressful, and honestly, there's no reward in it except for achieving it yourself. You're not gonna sell you'll write a game. You won't be able to sell it. You're just writing it for your own sense of achievement when push comes to shove. So you need to make sure that you're happy with that, because if you're not, then you need to look for a different hobby. That's really what it comes down to. It's not you're not going to be working for Blizzard having written an assembly game. You know what I mean? It's something you do for. It's something you do for your own fun, or you don't do at all, I'm afraid. So I say, and I'm not trying to put you off. I'm just the realities of what you're doing, Well, yeah, but that's why people program in Unity and not in assembly. That's the thing. Oh, there we go. So some of the sprites look very, very weird, but they maybe they're just messed up because of the colours. Well, assembly is the lowest level programming language there is, really, unless you're literally just writing bytes with a hex editor. So all of the tools, all of the things you would usually rely on to help you are gone. It's like going to the supermarket versus going hunting in the forest. Everything you would usually rely on is gone, and you've just got to try and achieve the same thing without it. It's if you want an easy ride of things, assembly isn't the solution for you. If you want to really go down to the bare basics and see if you can still achieve something, that's what you do. It's just like anything. Do you get your colour inkjet out and print a picture, or do you buy pots of paint and paint your own? It's like that. The inkjet's quicker, the result will probably be better, but if you want the sense of achievement, if you want to learn about colour and you want to create something unique of your own and be able to say you did all the work yourself, then you buy the oil paints, don't you? It's just like that. So as I say, I totally understand it's not for everyone, and I wouldn't recommend it to a beginner programmer. The people I recommend assembly to are people who've programmed before and want to learn about computing in a different, more fundamental way, or people who are programming just for the sense of achievement. Because if you want to create a 3D rendered amazing game, then Unity's the way to do it. But if you want to create something very simple that you can say, this Pong game I've written was a substantial achievement, well, you do it in assembly and you draw the sprites yourself and you control the interrupts yourself and you do all of it yourself down exactly Evil Sandwich, that's it. Yeah. Well, yeah, but assembly isn't simple. Assembly isn't a thing you just jump into and you write a game in 10 days. Assembly is a thing you have to read the technical manual on the VDP for. It's like making sounds. I've done C++ and C# programming. To play a sound, you get a wave file and you just dump it to the play wave driver, basically. With assembly, you actually have to read the technical documentation on the sound chip. You have to work out how to convert your wave file into the right bit rate. You have to work out how to actually make, the Chibi Wave tutorials, I had to actually start thinking, well, what does a wave file actually look like as a waveform, and then how can I trick hardware that can't play wave files into playing wave files? It's a totally different way of thinking, and you start to learn things you didn't understand. I didn't really understand what a square wave was, or a triangle wave, and this kind of thing. It's just not something you need to think about on a modern computer. You don't worry about those kind of things if your game programming consists of going to a sound website, buying an MP3, and then plugging it into your iPhone game. It's just a different way of doing things. And as I say, Dom, it's not to say one's right and the other's wrong. It's just that I think if you are looking to produce a game quickly, then Unity, your object-oriented C or whatever it is that the iPhone used, I can't remember, or something like that, or C#, C++, those are the ways to do it. Those are the quick ways with the easy debugging. But if you really want to go back to fundamentals, if you really want to test your metal, so to speak, in the programming sense, if you want to see what you can knock together with the bare minimum and see what that's like, then that's what assembly is. If you want an easier if you want an easier ride of it, then you just use BASIC. BASIC's perfectly good. You can have some fun with BASIC. You can make some nice little games with BASIC. There's no shame in it. So there's no need, and there's C libraries and things for most of these old 8-bits. So there's no need to program assembly if it's too difficult. It is difficult, and again, if the only reason to do assembly is if you enjoy it or you want the sense of achievement. There's no as I say, you're not going to get Microsoft aren't going to snap you up just because you wrote a game in assembly. It's just something to do for your own fun. If it's not fun, then there's no need to do it. Evil sandwich. I don't understand that. I don't know the basics of sound. That was why it was such a challenge for me. Yeah, Quasar's right. The hardware is all different, and that's part of the reason I always avoid using the firmware, because if you're porting between multiple machines. Well, Lucas, the MSX does have basic. It does have basic, doesn't it? I don't know about C. I've never looked at it, but I mean the Amstrad CPC has C, has some C compilers. Yeah, well, I mean, you will be stuck in a language that you have no clue, Lucas, because you've not been programming it long enough. I was programming the Amstrad CPC. It took me 2 weeks before I had any clue at all what I was doing on the Amstrad CPC, and I was 30. I was like 38, 9 or something back when I started learning assembly. I'd been programming. I'd programmed C#, C++. I programmed object-oriented C, Visual Basic, Quick Basic. Yeah, I've done a lot of programming over the years before I tried to program assembly. So it wasn't like I just picked it up. It wasn't like I just woke up having never programmed before and suddenly decided to try it. It's like, even if C and assembly and Visual Basic are different, you learn things about how to work with structures and how to logically solve problems like this kind of thing. You just there's and also you just become resilient to achieving nothing. Yeah, as I say, Lucas, you'll manage it if you keep trying. You've just got to what's the word? You've just got to temper your expectations and not give up when things get hard, and just keep going back and doing more research, reading up on the. I mean, I've got a plastic sheet here. You can hear it. You can't see it, but you can hear it. And I had to double check what the OTIR command. The OTR command, or whatever it is. I had to double check what it did, because I thought maybe I'd forgotten, because it was perfectly possible I had. As I say, it is, you just have to keep persevering, and when things go wrong, you just have to start not putting in commands that don't exist, like pull. That's switching CPUs too often. Okay, Quasar's been doing assembly a lot longer than me. I did a very small bit of assembly when I was young, but really it was a hobby I took up much later. Yeah, Lucas, yeah, you're not used to it yet, but that's totally fine. That's totally understandable, and it's not a race. I mean, if one person, why is those question marks? That's not right. Those question marks ain't right. As I say, it's perfectly understandable. Okay, I think I'm on a I'm missed. I thought maybe that show sprite was failing because. Okay. I think the score's wrong because the bytes of RAM aren't zeroed. So let's zero that user RAM first. Just say, Lucas, just just if you got some spare time, you got nothing to do, just read through some zz80 documentation on the actual commands themselves, and just try and think, oh well, you know, when's this going to be useful to me? Is this what I thought this command did? Yeah, definitely, Yquest. I mean, as I say, it's all about. It's not about what you achieve, or it's not about how big the thing you write is. It's about the fact you did it yourself, and you did it with no, from nothing. You know, you did it without debuggers and without C libraries and without Unity doing everything for you. It's not, again, you know, there's no. You're not competing against anyone else. You're only competing against yourself. So yeah, definitely. You just got to understand that it's going to take a while, and especially, I mean, look how long this has taken me, achieving nothing in an hour and a half. Yeah, especially as it's your first programming project, you're going to make so many mistakes. There's going to be so many things you don't understand. It's totally inevitable. So don't worry about it. Yeah. I mean, but yeah, no problem, Lucas. I mean, but as I say, that's the same with Chibi Akamas, the original code, the keyboard routine I copied off the internet, and the color changing routine was originally copied off the internet. And as I say, there was all kind of little bits that I'd found online that I didn't quite understand. And I just copied them into my code and made a few tweaks and got them just sort of working as a test. But then as the game progressed, I started having more requirements of my own, and I started to understand more what the code was doing, and I just replaced it with my own more efficient, more advanced versions. And you'll do the same. You know, you need enough to just get you started at the beginning. But there we go. That's better. I'm happy now. Okay. But as I say, as things progress, you'll start to have your own ideas of what you want, and you'll start to get your own. Start to get your own ideas of how things can be made better, and you just won't need that stuff anymore. And as I said before, you'll go from a case where some of the code is mine, and you'll end up with a case where none of the code is mine, and you've replaced it all. And you'll realise that the code that I gave you kind of works, but it's not. It's just not what you need. It's too simple, or it's too long, or so you'll come up with your own far better ideas of how to do the things. But as I say, I mean, so you just need to understand things like this. You know, what's D in this case? What's D doing? Why am I loading D into A? What's this comparison to 5? Where's this? What's 5 mean? Why are we jumping down here? What does C mean in this case? It's things like that. You just need to have enough of an understanding of what the current code is doing, so that you can say, well, okay, I get what's going on here, and then, well, actually this part's not adequate. This part's not needed by my code. This part is is redundant. This part needs to be improved. Things like that. So, but you just need to through little increments get to the point where you understand the code. No, Lucas, I didn't mean the register itself. DE stands for destination, but what the register does, what the register's name is, doesn't matter. The question is, in the code I'm looking at here today, in this piece of code here, D has a purpose, and the purpose is only defined by this code. So what is bit 0 in D? Well, you can see here there's a label called joy not up, and we're jumping depending on the flag here. And so, well, what's defining D? Well, we'd have to look all the way up here, and we'd eventually possibly notice here that D was cleared, and then D was updated here, and so D is we could surmise is being defined by read joystick, which it is. I mean, I know that, so I'm spoiling it for you. So D is containing the results of read joystick, and that makes sense because we're testing a bit in D in D, and then we're saying, well, if that bit was non-zero, we're going to skip over here. So D, we can conclude, contains our joystick directions, and the code here is acting on those joystick directions. So the fact that the D in the register D stands for destination is completely irrelevant. What is important is to understand is that in this case, the register D is the directions of our joystick buttons, and we're using them to control the movements of the player. And we can tell that because we're updating the, well, it's a bit complex, this version. In the simpler version you had, the player position is being updated immediately afterwards, and you can see B is being loaded into player X, so you know that B is player X, and C is being loaded into player Y, so you know that C is player Y. And you can see here that C is going up, and you can see here that C is going down. And again, that makes sense if you think about D being your joystick directions. I mean, so yeah, it's all tricky, and you know, I've got the advantage of knowing what this code does because I wrote it. The important thing from your point of view at this stage is to make sure you understand what deck B means. What does the processor actually do when it sees deck B? What does CP7 mean? You know, what does that command actually do? What's this command doing? Well, you probably know it's loading the accumulator into memory address player X, but as I say, you just need to. It's perfectly understandable. You may not be sure what D means in this case, but do you understand what the bit command does? Because if you don't understand what the bit command does, you would never be able to understand this piece of code here. It's just things like that. But as I say, it's going to take time. It's just the way it's just the way it is. You know, you don't. Rome wasn't built in a day, they say. It's certainly true. So I'm copying in these new comparisons because the Master System and the MSX hardware works quite differently. So yeah, we're doing this. We're doing some of this. So yeah, I saw how you were doing it. Yeah, I mean, that's fine. I say it's absolutely no problem. I was just making the point of how if you come across a piece of code like this and you don't understand what it does, the things you want to try and think about to get to a position to rewrite it. It's just because you know, in your case, you're going to want to change routines like this. You're going to have to change routines like this to draw your bullets and your enemies and things. So you need to understand what these commands are for and what this command does and what function this has. And it would help if you had a little bit of an idea on what was going on here. You don't really need to understand it, but a little idea would help. You know, you just need to have some kind of understanding of what's going on. And you know, if you don't, that's fine. But the alternative, you need to understand a way that you can do the thing you need to do yourself. Get that bullet on the screen, move that bullet around the screen, make the bullet move left to right, or hit the player and then the player explodes. You know, whatever your game needs. So it's just there is a lot of stages to it. But so I'm sure you'll get it. I'm sure you'll get it. Yeah, sure, Lucas. I mean, if you post if you've got a section that you're struggling on of my code in the, you're welcome to post it in the Discord, and I'll do what I can. The only thing you got to bear in mind is, you know, if you go online and you find some demo author and you post a big piece of code from that demo writer, there's a strong chance we'll just have, don't know, some code isn't very simple, and you know, sometimes you need to understand all of the background behind what the code is doing. If you've got code that's sort of directly hacking hardware registers, like where is it, like that, if I took all those comments out and you just had those numbers there, you're not going to understand what that's actually doing. You've got to go to that VDP instruction manual and you've got to figure out what the response of the graphics hardware is to having that data sent to that control port. So if you were just looking at it blind and you'd never seen it before, you'd probably have to do a couple of hours, potentially, if you were struggling, a couple of days, would be perfectly understandable, of research to answer the question. So yeah, by all means ask, but just understand that asking... hang on a minute, yeah. It's still blocked it, Quasar. I let it through. Okay. I don't know what that is. I'm sure it's good though. I'm sure Quasar knows what he's saying. So yeah, I'm sure that's a good document. But yeah, I'd say I'm sure you'll get it. And yeah, by all means, yeah. Evil Sandwich is definitely right with his comment about comments. Comments are very handy. I often don't, but it's just laziness. And especially if you are struggling to understand what a section of code does, if it's someone else's code, definitely, then it would be a very good idea. It's making a noise. Why is it making a noise? I don't understand that. Well, you've got to read manuals, Lucas. You're just gonna have to change that. I'm sorry. If you can take as much time as you need, but if you want to understand the MSX, you've got to read the MSX technical manuals. I don't like it. I find it difficult, makes my head hurt, but you just got to do it. You might find, yeah, MSX. I don't know why the MSX was beeping. It's certainly... Oh, I do. The fire... It thinks the fire button's held down. Probably. Possibly. Okay. So why is my movements not working? Yeah, well... yeah, I totally understand it, Lucas. No, I don't like mathematics. I'm blooming terrible at it. Hate mathematics, but as I say, you if you're programming assembly, you're choosing the most fundamental, most down to the metal programming language there is. So you're going to have to do a lot of the work yourself that Unity or C or whatever would have done for you in the past. So so you're going to be reading technical documentation. Yeah, well, yeah, we're all the same on that one, Lucas. I mean, I totally understand it. It's just you're gonna end up with the question of do I? And just take it in stages, Lucas. I mean, I've read. I think I read the. I didn't read the MSX1 manual. I read the MSX2 one, and I think I read that for a couple of weeks. I just read it for if I couldn't get to sleep, I'd just read it for 10-20 minutes and just read a few pages of it and try and understand what it said. And you probably wouldn't, but you do a little bit to get in each time, and then after a few weeks of it, you sort of had a bit of an understanding of what the graphics modes were, and you had a vague concept of the fact that there was an area of memory for the tile map and an area for the sprites, and then you'd go into your programming and you'd actually start to try and make it happen, and you'd then have to reread it all because you'd realise you hadn't fully understood it, but at least you got a little bit of groundwork, and at least you weren't terrified of the documents. But so it's just it's just the way it is. But don't stress it. So if you get the manual and you just have a quick flick through and you just try and read the section on hardware sprites or collision detection, and just try and let you're not going to understand it all without actually doing any programming, but just try and remember a few little factoids about what data it uses, or how many bytes it uses, or how it's. I changed the dual parasite thing. The chuck changes, but it doesn't change when I change the dual player. I don't know what that means. As I said earlier, that's what your code does when you have the dual parasite thingy is what your code does with the dual parasite thingy. It's not something anyone else is going to be able to help you with at this stage. Yeah, I can't help you with that. I can't even make my own code stop beeping. I can't answer that. I'm sorry. Okay, let's stop talking and let's actually try doing some coding. Sorry, I'm getting distracted. Okay, so first of all, I think we need to disable this. Oh, I missed one. Oh, I've made a mistake. What am I doing? Well, yeah, I don't know. Again, a register can't hold two values at the same time, but it all depends on what your code's doing. I mean, I assume you understand. Yeah, Quasar's right. Accumulator is definitely it's the key to everything is the old accumulator. So yeah, he's definitely right on that. I mean, the thing is, Lucas, as well is, I mean, you'll see quite a lot in code. I'm just trying to find a simple one here. Here you go. This push and pop of BC, and I'm assuming you understand this, Lucas. I need BC for two different reasons here. Show sprite needs it, but I need it to not change. So I'm pushing BC here to back it up, and then I'm popping BC again here to restore it. And I'm assuming you understand that, Lucas, because that's really fundamental to assembly language. So in cases where you need the accumulator twice for two different purposes, there will be times where that's the kind of thing you need to do. So I don't know if you understand that. So I apologize if I'm just stating the obvious. It's quite possible. But as I say, that's just something that maybe you don't, maybe you're not quite aware of yet. And if it is something you're not aware of, then okay, so we're moving. Okay, so we're moving there. Yeah, quite. I totally agree. The other thing with zz80 instruction manuals is, as I sort of said to Lucas earlier, is you need to understand all of the commands that are currently in your code. There's sometimes a few you won't need. You don't need LDIR if you want to avoid it, but you at least need to understand what the code you're looking at is doing. And so even if you don't just read it as bedtime reading, which I have done and would suggest if you can stomach it, but even if you don't, you need to be able to look up the commands and just double check they do what you think they do, because sometimes they may catch you out, like with my like with this. Well, if I was using B as a counter here, I may not understand what OTI does, and the important thing is OTI is actually changing B. Now, there's no registers mentioned here, but if you look at the technical manual of what OTI does, you'll know it changes B. So there's times when you need to, even if you don't just read the entire manual from start to finish. And as I say, if you can manage it, I would recommend doing that because it helps. Because there's commands in there that will help you that you possibly don't know yet. Like the IX and IY registers, which I suspect Lucas may not understand yet. You don't need them, but they could help you out if you're trying to have a lot of objects on screen at the same time. Just a clue there. But as I say, it's just it's just sometimes these things can help us out. My directions are wrong. I'm going the opposite direction to what I'm pressing. That's not right. Okay. Now I can't remember how my how this code returns fire buttons, which is a pain. So let's just have. It's got this weird thing of 157. It's like a numeric thing, but I can't remember how it returns fire, or maybe it doesn't. Maybe it doesn't. That'll be a pain. It doesn't matter anyway. It's too late. I've spent too long making stupid mistakes with those offsets and too long talking about zz80. So I'm not going to finish the rest of this on stream. I will finish it this evening. We will do MSX2 next time. I apologise for the lies that saying this was going to be an MSX2 stream, but I knew Lucas was hanging around, and I thought it would help him out to see some MSX1 programming. So we saw a little bit. The source code for Yquest is now already in the sources 7-zip on the zz80 website, so you can get the Master System and the Sam Coupe versions and the CPC version, of course, the original, and hopefully the MSX1 version will be in there as well. So if any of you want to have a look, you're welcome to do so. The game is free and it's open source, so if you want to take it and you want to change it to Yquest and sell it for $100 million and you manage that, then fair play to you, good luck. So you're welcome to do anything you want with the code if it helps you. I don't care. So yeah, I say if you want to like what you saw today, which I doubt because it wasn't very good, but if you did and you want the code and you want to try and nick bits of it, nick away. Anyway, I totally failed to drink any of my tea, so it's now all gone cold, and I need to get ready to go to work soon. So I really appreciate everyone who's hung around for all this fumbling coding. So thanks for that. Hope you all have fun with your programming. I hope you don't have too many bugs in your code, and I wish you all the best with that. And of course, just sort of generally with all the problems going on at the moment and all the stress everyone's having, I hope playing with your old computers keeps your mind off it all, and I hope you stay healthy and all of that kind of thing as well. So let's go to the thanks for watching. Where is it? Hang on a minute. So yep, take care of yourselves, have fun, enjoy your programming, and I hope you don't have too many bugs with your programming projects. Thanks for watching and goodbye.